Hi, this is Suzi Quatro. I hope you're enjoying my new single and album, The Devil in Me. You are listening to The Vinyl Guide, and it's cool.
Well, we had lots of fun too, Suzi. Hey, everyone. Thanks for tuning into this week's episode of The Vinyl Guide, the podcast where we celebrate records and music nerdery and try to get the stories of the record on the record. And this week, we have an amazing guest, the legend herself, Dr. Suzi Quatro. And yes, Suzi is a doctor. In 2016, she was awarded an honorary doctorate in music from the Angela Ruskin University in the UK, so we will address her with the respectful prefix of doctor. Now, Dr. Quatro has been an icon, a pioneer, and a music and vinyl record lover all of her life. From the time she could barely remember, music was in her life, and she made her life about music, breaking both heads and barriers with her unique Suzi Quatro brand of rock and roll. Now, today, Suzi's going to share all about her history, talk about the early years, the rare record releases from her first band, the Pleasure Seekers, her rise to international fame, her time on Happy Days as Leather Tuscadero. Suzi will even share her favorite British swear words today, and of course talk about her new album, The Devil in Me. The first single is out. Stream it on your phone, watch the video on YouTube, and order the album at SuziQuatro.com. And finally, if you love rock and roll records, well, man, you are in the right place. The Vinyl Guide has a ton of great episodes and interviews featuring artists talking all about the rare records of their career, including Mark Evans of AC/DC, Glenn Hughes, Andy Partridge of XTC, Mike Campbell of Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, Guy Pratt of Pink Floyd, Jay Bentley of Bad Religion, and about 250 more interviews, all available at thevinylguide.com or wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe, enjoy, and turn it up, man. All right, let's get into our chat with the legend herself, Dr. Suzi Quatro. Hello, is this Dr. Suzi Quatro?
It is the very same. And the funniest thing about me being Dr. Quatro is I have no patience.
Badoom, crash. Having that doctor at the head of your name, I understand, gets you into restaurants. It'll get you in special plane seats and everything.
I know, it's good, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, you already get that anyway, I imagine. But
I do. but it is quite an honor, and I'm very proud of it.
Very good. Well, look, everyone on the show who's listening, living legend Suzi Quatro is here on the Vinyl Guide. The new album, The Devil in Me, out March 26. Vinyl pre-orders are available at SuziQuatro.com. Suzi, thank you so much for coming on the show.
You're welcome. And the single's out, The Devil in Me, the single is the same name. Single comes out on the 19th of February.
Well, very good. Well, I can tell you, I know people. See, I know people.
I haven't even got my copies yet. I hate you.
Yeah. You want to buy one? Hey, so where are you at? You're in the UK, is that right?
I'm in the UK, yeah. I'm in the UK.
And you've lived there?
Since 1971. But I mean, I travel all the time. I go back to America a lot. I go back to Detroit a lot. But I'm based here.
Now, I've lived here in Australia for about 20 years, and my accent is softened a little bit here and there. But you've been in UK substantially longer than I've been here, and your accent is still coming out swinging out of the Midwest. Why is that?
I refused to lose it. I remember I was on the set of Happy Days, and we were rehearsing a scene, and the director said to me, "Hey, Suzi, you want to come back to Detroit?" And I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "You're getting a little bit British." I said, "I am not." And at that point, I went, "Don't you dare lose your accent." I don't think I was, but I made sure I didn't. I think there's nothing worse than losing your accent of where you came from. Why should you?
Well, after a while, you just start assimilating. I think that's what's happened to me. I've kept it a lot longer than most.
I won't lose it. What you get is you get expressions.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you pick up the local swear words but it's not being British. I mean, I've been here since 1971. I'm always going to be the American in England. Done.
What's your favorite British swear word?
One that's really expressive. I like it. Bollocks.
Bollocks, yes.
It's a good one. That is a particularly good one. It sort of rolls off the tongue good, That's good. My ex-husband taught me that one.
To me, in Australia, just the term fuckwit, I think, has always been
That's
very...
a good one. Yeah, yes. Dickhead was always a nice one, too. That really is expressive. I think my favorite word that I use all the time is asshole. And it can be affectionate or it can be nasty. And my son actually got expelled from school. He was about 7. And they were going around the classroom asking everybody what nicknames their parents gave them. My son said asshole. And I had to go to school and go collect him. I said, I'm sorry, I can't get mad at that. I'm sorry. I said he was only a little, I said, you asshole, that's just me, so it's funny.
Now, I know you did this latest album, The Devil in Me, and No Control with your son.
Yes.
And I believe this is your first real collaborations with Richard. Is that right?
The last two, that last one and this one, yeah. The first one was hugely successful. I mean, the critics just went ballistic over it. And it was our first time, so it was getting our feet wet, So he's seeing what I do, I'm seeing what he does, we're seeing how we fit together. And that was so good and so well received that now this album, we knew where we were going. It was much more, we had a vision. He wanted to make it as important as my first album. He kept saying all the way through the recording, Mom, it's got to have the vibe. It's got to be as groundbreaking. And he kept throwing me riffs and this and that. He managed to light my fire again. It wasn't unlit.
Oh.
It wasn't unlit. That's what's so strange. I think he's brought this fresh 36-year-old energy into it. And I'm seeing me through his eyes.
Was it easy for him growing up the son of Suzi Quatro?
He is, my daughter will tell everybody she's my daughter. That's her nature. Richard won't tell anybody until they ask him.
Okay.
So it's two different, they'll say, hi, yeah, I'm Suzi Quatro's daughter. Richard, and they'll say to him, and let's say to him, are you? He's not ashamed of it. He's very proud of me.
He'll just say, hi, I'm asshole.
That's the one.
So look, I want to talk all about this new album, The Devil in Me, and also No Control, because I think you've been having this great musical inspiration and output over the last few years. But first off, let's go back a little bit more to Detroit. Your father was a semi-professional musician, I think is probably the best way to put it.
He was. He worked at General Motors, and at night he played music. So, he worked 2 jobs his whole life. He worked very hard. And he had 5 kids, and to play 2 or 3 instruments in my family is not unusual. It's just normal. It really is. It's a very musical family. So I started on bongos, and then I went to classical piano, and then I went to percussion. I made it to first chair in the school orchestra. Boy, did the boys hate me. And then I started bass at 14, and I taught myself bass. So I'm schooled in piano and percussion.
So bass was not your first instrument?
No. And in fact, when we started the all-girl band, we were all on the phone together, 5 of us, different extensions, and it was my sister Patty's idea, and everybody chose an instrument. And I, for some reason, just didn't speak up quick enough. And I said, hello, what am I playing? And she said, you're playing bass. I didn't care. I said, okay.
You were assigned it.
Yeah, I was assigned it. So, but when you think about it, piano and drums, they're both percussion. So I'm percussive minded. So bass was a good choice for me.
Yeah.
I was a natural bass player. I never went from guitar to bass. I'm a bass player. I refuse to use a pick. I'm this kind of bass player, I'm an organic. I'm an organic bass player.
And your history, I would imagine, with piano and with drums and percussive instruments really influenced the way that you approach the bass.
I guess it did. A lot of people have said to me through the years, how do you sing and play? Well, I never even thought about it. It never crossed my mind that this might be difficult. And that's because piano, drums, you're using everything. So I was used to thinking, with all different parts of my body, different things. So it was just natural to me. And I did take the bass like a light bulb over my head. And my dad gave me 1957 Fender Precision. That was my first bass. Come on. Nobody had that. Nobody in the band had an instrument like that. I got given the Rolls Royce. The hardest one to play, which I did not know, because all I said was, do you have a bass? And he said, yeah, you can use this. So there I am, not knowing that there's smaller basses, learning on the heaviest and the biggest. I had no idea. And I still to this day cannot play a small bass.
Now, that's interesting because I always, whenever I think of Suzi Quatro music, I always think thumping and kind of a drive, almost kind of the pace you want to kind of pound your beer on the end of the table. So it makes total sense to me that you've got that drumming background. Were there many records around the house?
Yes. Every sibling had their own era of records. My dad, of course, had his own selection, and I grew up listening to him play. So I was well immersed, as you can hear on Love's Gone Bad. You can hear all that, supper club kind of in my head. Then I got acquainted with my elder sister's music. She's 9 years older. So I listened to all the 50s stuff. And my brother, same kind of era. Then got into the 60s. It was the next sister. I listened to all her stuff. Then my own, then my little sister. So wide range of tastes I have. And it's all in my DNA. And I'm a big Motown girl. Mm-hmm. Not just because I come from there, but I'm a huge Motown fan. And some of the bass lines on this album are some of my best.
Yeah, how could you not be a Motown fan? That's
it's a no-brainer.
That's funny. I don't think I've ever met anyone who says, I don't like Motown music. I think it may be physically impossible to dislike it.
Well, I was weaned on Motown. I still know all the dance steps. And the bass and the drums on Motown 60s records have never been equaled. Mm-hmm. Never. The best. And I took a lot from Jamison's book, when I'm playing. Listen to something like the bass line on Queenie. Mm-hmm. Oh, if I have to do that live, oh boy.
So do you recall your very first vinyl record?
I recall my first single that I bought.
Yep.
It was Bobby Darin's "You Must Have Been a Beautiful Baby." Don't ask me why. And I'm trying to think I think the first album I bought, it must have been the Beatles, Meet the Beatles.
Okay.
Yeah, that would have been 1964.
Do you recall going down to the shop and getting it? Was it something you saved up for? Was it something of a gift?
Well, I remember my dad gave me $1 for the single I wanted to buy. I was quite young. I was about 10. And I had change. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I was working from 14. That's how long I've been working, 57 years. So, yes, I would save up and buy what I wanted, sure.
What was the record you feel, not yours, obviously, not one you released, but the record of your youth that changed your life the most?
I would say it would have been Bob Dylan's Blonde on Blonde album. I dove into it, and I'm very much a lyricist. I'm a songwriter, too, but I really concentrate on lyrics, and he changed my life. He changed my life. I used to go down in the basement, and in my basement where I had my bedroom, and I'd listen to it. I was with the incense burning, and what does he mean on this? It was sad. And if people came down to see me, I would make them sit on the couch, and I would explain to them the lyrics. And if I thought that they weren't listening, I would start at the beginning again. So they started to lie. Did you get that? Yeah, I got it, yeah. But I am a huge, to this day, a huge Dylan fan. Mm-hmm. It changed the way I saw what a lyric could mean. And I am very good at lyrics, and he's another Gemini, so we're very good with words. This is what we do. We're very good with words.
Let's unpack that a little bit, because I'd be interested to know Suzi before Bob Dylan and Suzi after. How did he fundamentally change the way you looked at lyrics?
I had a more frivolous attitude to lyrics. And then when I got into his, I just went, wow, look at what he's saying. Look at what he's saying. And sometimes some of his most serious messages are cloaked in a completely different type of song. And and that's what I do a lot. I'll put a serious message. You're bouncing along to the song and you go, what did she say? So I love that. It's not a picture you think you're seeing. I love it. So he made me serious about my writing. Very serious about it.
How old were you when you discovered Bob Dylan?
14.
Okay. Did you buy the record yourself? Or
yeah, I did. No. I got turned on to it. I was at a club in downtown Detroit, and we were watching a band from New York called the Blues Magoos. They were a psychedelic band, and they just blew my brain away. I've never seen sitting in the front there, and coming off, wow, blew me away. And I ended up in the bass player's room. He was very gentleman, but it was funny because I was young, but trying to act like, and I was playing bass by that time. And I remember he said to me, "Have you ever had marijuana?" And me being me, I went, "Yeah, sure. Never in my life have I had marijuana." So I went, "Yeah, I didn't want to be uncool." When you get like that, you don't want to be uncool. Mm-hmm. "Yeah, sure." So he gave me a puff, and I went, "Oh, it did nothing." And I had three joints. And then all of a sudden it hit me. And he took real pity on me. He was quite a gentleman, but it was at that point that he played me this album, and I was in it.
Wow.
And I cannot hear this album without going back there in my mind. I can't stand marijuana. I couldn't get normal for 2 days, but it had its necessary job. It did the job.
Okay.
Yeah, sure, I smoke it all the time. What a liar.
Well, you don't want to be out of the club, right?
Yeah, well, you know you're going to get caught when you do something like that. You just do. Oh, yeah. Oh, it didn't do anything. Give me another one. What a jerk. 3 by myself. I must be stupid.
Sure, I could drive a tractor trailer truck. It's fine. So at this time, you were part of the band The Pleasure Seekers, I imagine, yeah? Now,
yes.
The Pleasure Seekers was, just for the audience who may not know, is a female group that was formed kind of in response to the exposure to the Beatles. Is that fair?
Yeah, absolutely. We had seen the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show, mm-hmm. and as soon as they were finished, we got on the phones. 2 sisters we knew. The other girl lives down the road. Her dad played my dad's band, and my elder sister and me. And we were, like that. And Patty said, "Why don't we start an all-girl band?" And everybody agreed. Everybody, yeah. I didn't care about it being all girls. I don't do gender, but a band was good to me. And everybody quickly staked a claim in which instrument they wanted, and I didn't speak up. So then I said, "Excuse me," I'm on the phone, "what am I going to play?" And Patty said, "You're going to play bass." I just went, "Okay."
Did the Pleasure Seekers tour?
Oh,
was it?
We toured non-stop.
Okay.
Because we were a band, it was an oddity. So they were able to book us. My eldest sister finally joined the unit. So there were 3 sisters together, and the other one was too young. And her first husband started to manage the band. Now, he was able to support himself and his 3 kids out of the money he earned managing the Pleasure Seekers. So, yes, we worked, and we worked a lot. That's how I honed my craft in the Pleasure Seekers, We worked all the time. More than the guy bands, because we were unique.
How far abroad did you tour?
Everywhere. Oh, my God. We would drive from Florida to California. Everywhere. We played all over America, nonstop. We went to, we had a gig in Vietnam. We had a gig in Hawaii, but mainly America. And that lasted from 64 until 69-ish. And then that changed into Cradle.
Yep.
And my little sister joined and became lead singer, and I took a back seat and just played from being the complete front person, doing 99% of the songs. I went back. Which was great because in Cradle, I got really good on my bass because I wasn't up front anymore, so I was just playing. So
let's go really quick just back to the Pleasure Seekers. 1964, again, I'm not great at math. I'm no doctor, but you would be touring around when you were 14, 15, 16, a time when most people are in high school. How did you balance that?
I didn't. I called my dad. I knew what I wanted from the first gig. The first gig we did in the Hideout, we knew 3 songs, all the same chords, 3 chords. And when I stood up there that first time, I said to myself, "I'm home." I was home. I still say it now, I'm home. Mm-hmm. But I called my dad from New York. We had a gig in New York, and I was due to go back and finish schooling. And I called him, and I said, and my mom was on the extension, and I said, "Dad, listen, I found what I want to do for the rest of my life. And I don't want to come back and finish school." So there was real quiet. And he was very smart. He said, "Suzi, is there anything I can say to change your mind?" And I said, "No." And he quietly put the phone down on me. Mm-hmm. Psychologically, that's really clever. not hanging it up, just. And so he was basically psychologically cutting the lifeline. And it made me, I remember I sat on my little bed and I went, yeah, this is what I want. And that's it. I didn't look back.
We'll be back after these messages.
Hey everyone, just a quick moment. I'm here to tell you all about the Groove Washer, the best record cleaner I've ever used. And man, I have used a heap of them. Some of them are fine, but I absolutely trust the Groove Washer. I mean, these are my records, man. I am not just going to trust any chemical compound on them, especially when it comes to storing. I've used Groove Washer for well over 5 years, and the records I cleaned in 2015 with the G2 fluid are still in beautiful, fine shape, no stickiness, no issues, no residue. So, ask your local record shop for the Groove Washer by name and accept no substitutes. Or simply go to groovewasher.com and use promo code VinylGuide10 at checkout. That's the Groove Washer record cleaner, promo code VinylGuide10. Accept nothing less for your record collection. Oh, and one more thing, record nerds, make sure you head over to AudiofileUSA.com, the used record store that only sells near mint and excellent used vinyl records. Located in the record mecca of Southern California, AudiofileUSA.com somehow finds the best of the best records. Many ex-store stock, some still sealed for decades. It's incredible the stuff they find, and they will ship to you whether you're in Seattle, Sydney, Singapore, or Stuttgart. That's AudiofileUSA.com. Head over there now, dig deep, search by genre, artist, or even record label, and find the deals. That's AudiofileUSA.com. Go there now and find your holy grail.
Now we return to the program already in progress.
No limits.
Now, in that touring, you must have opened up for quite a few bands as well. Who are the sort of acts that Pleasure Seekers opened for?
Oh, God. Mountain. We did open for Mountain quite a few times.
Mm-hmm.
We played a lot of festivals with all the Detroit acts.
Mm-hmm.
I think we played on Alice's show a couple times, Alice Cooper. MC5 we played with, Mitch Ryder we played with, Bob Seger we played with, Iggy Pop we played with, everybody you can think of, really.
Mm-hmm.
We were all on the same record.
Right.
So all on the same, we were all kind of growing up in the same business. But we went more into the club land, and we became more of a show band,
Okay.
because we were getting booked in all the clubs, and we became a show band. And then when we came back to Detroit in 68 or 69, and we did one of my brother's festivals, which was, of course, full of peace and love and tie-dye T-shirts and dope and, barefoot and blah, blah. And we died a death. The Pleasure Seekers did not go down because we were doing our club act. And so at that point, we changed the entire thing. And we went heavy, started to write our own material. My little sister came in. She was of that generation. And I didn't like Cradle at all. It didn't suit me.
The Pleasure Seekers, in their career, did release a record, What a Way to Die, that 7-inch. Tell me the story of that record.
Well, the first club gig that we did was the Hideout. It was the club down the road from us. And the owner was Dave Leone. And he put us on our first gig. That was him that did that. And he started a record label called the Hideout label. And he said, let's go in the studio and cut 2 sides. There was one called Never Thought You'd Leave Me and What a Way to Die. And I sang What a Way to Die. And it's all about beer. So you can hear it's me on there. I laughed. I'm 14 years old and you can hear it's me. Even the scream. Way back then.
I recognized it immediately. I didn't realize you were 14 at the time. Boy, you're saying I smoke marijuana, I drink a lot of beer, all these sort of things. You were
all bullshit. I was such a square. I didn't do any of it.
So Hideout Records, a local Detroit label, Bob Seger released some music on that as well.
Yeah.
Do you know how many copies of What a Way to Die were pressed?
I have no idea. I know we did it on a TV show. It's become kind of a cult, a little bit of a cult hit. A lot of DJs will play it. It's real reminiscent of that time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's kind of punk before punk.
It is, and I think there's references to fast cars. It really kind of draws this picture of hoodlums but having fun.
Yeah, it's a good record. 14.
Now, as a 14-year-old holding your own record in your hands, that must have been quite a moment.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if I thought anything. You know, I'm one of these people that it just washes over.
Mm-hmm.
I'm real professional. So I had chosen my career, and nothing really bowls me over. I just take each thing as it comes.
Mm-hmm.
I remember calling my dad from London and saying, "Oh, my the can sold 7,000 records today." It did 22,000 on its best day in one day. And there's me and my naivety saying, "Wow," you know. So no, I'm very feet on the ground, and this is my chosen profession. So I just don't get carried away. I don't look at it that way. It's what I do.
Right.
We work towards this. Here it is. There it is. You know.
Move to the next one. You're not romantically looking back at any of these.
Romantically? No, I just take everything professional. I'm professional. It was fun. It was fun. I was really glad I had that learning process, you know, that we did so many gigs and God, 5 sets a night.
Yeah. You get good.
Tell me how you learn your craft. How better to learn your craft than doing 5 sets a night, the first set to the drunk at the bar that doesn't want to see you, you know? So that was always my aim. I had a little game in my head. If I can make that one guy at the bar there with his beer turn around and look at me, I win. And I did.
So those original singles, those What a Way to Die 7 inches. And here on the show, we talk all about rare records and collectibles and things like that. That record, What a Way to Die, any idea how much that goes for on the used market now?
I bet you it costs a bit. How much?
Between $600 and $800.
No.
Swear to God.
I'm in the wrong business.
So if you've got a little box of those anywhere stashed, that's you better take care of those.
I do have that upstairs. I have more than one. Oh, that's great. Isn't that nice to know?
Very good. So yeah, it's highly collectible. Now the Pleasure Seekers also issued, well, there were 2 other 45s we want to quickly talk about. Light of Love on Mercury Records. That was a major label coming out to give Pleasure Seekers a bit of a shot on the label. What happened there?
That was unfortunate for Mercury because they loved the band. They signed us up, and then they didn't want us to play in the studio, and we got really pissed off. So we had to go to this and sing to this track. I said, "This isn't who we are." So we just did the 2 singles and we left because it just, you know, we're a band.
Yeah,
we're a band. So it just wasn't on. I don't think those were too clever. Those 2 singles, they were okay. Nothing great. I mean, the Pleasure Seekers really didn't have any. I thought What a Way to Die was much better than what Mercury did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because that captured the original band with all its innocence and young girls and all, you know, it captured it. That was good.
You seem to have known exactly what you want to do and be very clear on your goals and the person that you are as early as, you know, your early teens. From that phone call from your father, you knew. And even to this day, I could tell, feels to me anyway, the person that you are is very much a logical extension of who you were at the very beginning and who you knew you were.
100%. I haven't really changed. I don't know what the reason for that is. Maybe it's just as simple as knowing my path, finding my path very young, not searching for it, knowing my path. I have to go back to Elvis. I saw him at 5½ on the Ed Sullivan Show again, both times. It's been pivotal in my life. And, you know, Ed Sullivan used to have something for the youngsters at the end of the show every time. And my older sister by 9 years was screaming. And I was only 5½, and I was looking at her thinking, why are you screaming? Because I didn't get it. And I turned and looked at the TV, and I went into the TV. I got drawn in, and a little light bulb went on in my head, and I said to myself, I'm going to do that. So that young, I got bit, and it never changed. Is that crazy?
That is. Well, incredibly fortunate. A lot of people spend most of their lives kind of searching for stuff. You're lucky if you find where you fit by the time you're 40.
Exactly. And I knew what I wanted to do from that moment on, and I didn't deviate. And it never, I say I don't do gender. They say it in the documentary. I don't do gender. It didn't occur to me when I was looking at him and thinking, I'm going to do that. It didn't occur to me that he was a guy and I was a little girl. I didn't even think about it. I don't think about it now. Mm-hmm. I've never called myself a female musician, ever. Don't think of myself that way. Just a musician.
Yeah. With one final record on Pleasure Seekers, Locked in Your Love, apparently there was an acetate. Was that record ever released officially, Locked in Your Love?
I don't think it was. I think they released the other side, Good Kind of Hurt. The producer didn't put the right key for me, and so he didn't like my voice down that low. And we had another track called Good Kind of Hurt, and it wasn't my kind of song, so the drummer had that kind of a voice. Mm-hmm. So the drummer sang, yeah, Locked in Your Love was okay, just in the wrong key. Yeah, but, to go in there and sing on tracks, I mean, that is not who we were. Mm-hmm. So it was stupid.
Yeah.
So it was a useless exercise, yeah. And, I mean, my bass since the beginning, whatever I've recorded, has been such an integral part of the sound. All the way through my years, I broke my arm one time, and this was, what year was this? 2009 or something, I can't remember. And I had a sold-out Australian tour book, sold out. And my husband said, you cannot let the promoter down, take a bass player. So I got a bass player. And, of course, me being me, 3 or 4 songs in, I'd say, give me that bass, and I'd play a couple songs. And the out front guy used to say to me, as soon as, even with my broken arm, and it was the left arm that does all the work. So he said, as soon as you put the bass on and play, it's a different sound. So I guess I have my own style of bass, and it's important to my sound, to what I produce. You hear it all over that album.
I'm hearing it all over the new album. That's absolutely, yeah.
Some of my best bass lines are on this album.
Do you still play bass every day?
Yes.
Okay.
Every day. I won't lose my chops. What's helped me too on this is that I've been in the studio a lot. So, I mean, when we put the bass and the drums down for this album, the drummer counted 100 takes I did over the day. Mm-hmm. And he said, it was really annoying because you weren't tired. I was dead and you were fine. I said, well, if you came up in the ranks that I did, where you did 5 shows a night, you'd be fine too. This is a double.
So before you go out on tour, do you have to revisit some of those songs to get re-familiar with them, or are they just ingrained in you right now? You could pick up the bass.
I'm always chopping and changing and upgrading. There's 4 songs from No Control in the set now. There'll be some from the new album in the set when I go back out. And I always keep everything fresh. Mm-hmm. Always keep it fresh, yeah. I just throw things on stage and I let everybody shine. Everybody has a moment, And, you got to keep it fresh. And I have a live CD from the last show that we did in February, and I practiced to that. I even danced around the living room. It would be good, hilarious if anybody saw me. Oh, my God. You got to keep the chops. And I go to the gym every day. I have a gym in my garage. You got to keep fit and you got to keep the chops. It goes real quick if you don't.
Now, when you moved to England with producer Mickey Most, the first single, I believe, was Rolling Stone. Yes. The first pressing, they misspelled your name. Do you recall that?
Don't even go there. I have a thing about this. Even in school, I was called Sue, Susie, Susan, all spelled different ways. My mother even spelled my name wrong. I sometimes get emails with my name spelled 4 different ways in one email. And my name is known. It drives me absolutely round the twist. I finally, on the last Australian tour, had a T-shirt made with 6 different ways of Susie, all crossed out, and then Susie, the right one on the bottom. It happens a lot, believe me. Yeah. It drives me crazy. Absolutely crazy.
So on your first record, that must have just...
Idiots. How anybody can do that, I just don't know. Surely the first rule is to spell the artist's name right. Rule number 1.
Right.
It happened.
Now, by the way, that's another rare record. I'm not sure how familiar you are with what that's going for. That's at least a few $100 if you could find one.
I have all this. I have upstairs. Yeah.
There you go.
It's good.
You better up your insurance.
I bet. Oh my.
Now, if I recall correctly, Peter Frampton played guitar on that record. Is that right?
He did. Mickey actually said, because we used a lot of good studio people. There was Mick Waller, which played for Rod Stewart. He was on drums on that one. But we did use Big Jim Sullivan, Alan White from Yes, and a keyboard player called Rabbit. And when we made this track, Mickey said, I'm going to get this young guitar player in, and he might be good for your band when you form your band, when you finally get your band. And then after the session, Mickey was very smart. He said, he's the wrong guy for you. And I said, why are you saying that? He said, because in your band, there's only going to be one star, and that's you. So Mickey saw that potential in him, which is very smart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because he wasn't famous yet, but Mickey saw it.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, Mickey seems to be he was very much a big picture thinker. He was thinking long-term from day one.
Always. And he saw me in Cradle at the back playing my bass. I came up, I did 2 songs, Brain Confusion and Jailhouse Rock.
Mm-hmm.
He called his wife and he said to her, always makes me laugh. I didn't hear this till years later. He called her and he said, I found it. At last I found it. And she said, what? And he said, I have no idea, but I found it.
Mm-hmm.
What I was. So, yeah, he saw me. Even at the back, he saw me.
Let's fast forward a little bit in your career. Leather Tuscadero. How did that role on Happy Days happen? What was that phone call like?
Yeah, I got a call in Japan. I was on tour.
Mm-hmm.
And it was my American publicist, Toby Mamis. And he said, I've had a call from Paramount. They have this script. You might be right for it. Would you come out and audition? So I flew out on my own money. No guarantee. I read for the part, and it turned into 3 seasons. Suited me down to the ground. It was the right decision. I always wanted to try acting. This role came along, and I indeed just fell into it. I didn't even think about it. It just was real natural,
Mm-hmm.
And God, how great to be part of that show. What a great show.
Yeah. Now, I mean, it's absolutely an American cultural icon, and everyone knows Leather Tuscadero. I mean, you made that part come alive. Were you even thinking about acting at that point? I mean, it must have been very odd. You're touring around fronting a music band, and then all of a sudden Happy Days called. It must have been very surreal.
I always planned to spread my wings as much as I could. I knew that I could act. I've done musicals. I've done everything. I never wanted to be boxed into just one thing, and I fought for that my whole life. I've spread my wings every opportunity I could. So that was a way to spread my wings, and I did.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't. I said to Ron, "Did I ever feel like a new actress on that show, Ron Howard?" And he said, "No. It's like you were always there." And I found out that, and I didn't know this till I was in the show anymore, that I got, after Fonz, the second most fan mail.
Oh.
Wow. Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
So I guess people like that role, Yeah.
Well, I mean, look, it's very memorable. Even the name, I remember Leather Tuscadero more than Pinky, even more than Ralph Mouth.
Yeah, it was a good character, and I gave it. I injected a lot of Suzi into that.
You mentioned you were offered a spin-off show, which you declined. You didn't want to be boxed in or typecast. Do you recall anything about like what the title of the show was going to be, or any of the plots?
I can't remember. I think they were trying to do a thing with that you never made it. That the character never made it. But I felt like I had done enough with the 3 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to go out being that character for the rest of my life. And I was correct, because I started to have a lot of big hits again right then. I went around touring around the world.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was able to branch out. I did quite a few other different series, even Ab Fab. And I did musicals. I did Annie Get Your Gun. So I did enough on Happy Days. I did not want to make my career out of playing that character.
Yeah. And Stumbling In, was that just after Happy Days? What was the timing of that?
It was during it.
It
was a million seller in America, I think, during the 3rd season. I did 77, 78, and 79. Those 3 seasons of Happy Days.
Mm-hmm.
So it might have been 78, might have been the 2nd series. I can't remember what year it came out, but it was my biggest single hit in America.
As my wife and I were watching the Suzi Q documentary, and as soon as they started playing that song, my wife and I both knew the words immediately. And
it's one of those. It's one of those songs. It's a real evergreen, and it goes down a storm live. I still do it live wherever I am in the world, and great song. It's just a classic song between 2 people. Yeah.
Now, is there a different Suzi in real life as opposed to the one that we all see on stage and hear in records?
Well, a lot of people ask me that. I am who I am. This is who I am. I'm a no bullshit girl. What you see is what you get. But when I wrote my autobiography, I had to write it in two people, as Little Suzi from Detroit and Suzi Quatro. Both are me, and both have their say. I do keep a balance. It's important. Right now, you're talking most of the time to Little Suzi from Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
You just are. And I have in my house an ego room up on the third floor, which Pert's heard about in the documentary. And I can go up there and go in that room. It has a sign on it, ego room, mind your head. And just go in there and do everything. I know it's good. Go over then everything, Suzi. And then you come out. Here's the important bit. You come out and you shut the door. That's how I feel about everything in my life. The ego has a place. I don't take it off the stage with me, and I don't need to live the rock and roll lifestyle. I am a professional. I am a performer. When I get on that stage, you get everything of me. Absolutely everything. It's my obligation to entertain you. This is how I feel about it. When I'm off stage, I'm not screaming and yelling and all that like I do on stage, but I don't know if there's that much of a divide. You're talking about being off stage and being on stage. Those are two different things.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm standing on the side ready to go out, I'm like, oh, God, I hope they like me. Oh, my God, I hope they like me. And then I'm out. Then I stride out. And then I'm home, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's a strange thing. I've been doing it 57 years, and I've always kept my feet firmly on the ground.
Seems to be that way. Now, the new album, The Devil in Me. Tell me about this album. Again, you've gone on this creative, I'll call it a renaissance, the last few years.
Unbelievable.
Where did that come from?
My son.
Mm-hmm.
He gave me a different look at myself. He's got Suzi Quatro in his DNA since the time he was born. He's watched me his whole life. He's a musician. He soaked it all up, and he kept saying to me for years and years while he was in bands himself, you should be doing this, Mom. You should be doing this. He always had a clear vision. And then we did No Control together, and he lit my fire.
Mm-hmm.
I am seeing myself through his eyes.
Okay.
Which is quite
well,
yeah.
In the process, what did you discover about yourself?
That I have still the same fire in me. It has not diminished. I still have that need to push and go and go and go. I've never changed, Mm-hmm. I'm never done. I still have a lot to say. I still get that feeling, My God, I get so excited when a song's coming and it's coming out. It shouldn't, when I do a scream or I do that. I'm still the same girl. The same girl that screamed on What a Way to Die is still here. Here she is. That's nice, isn't it?
That's amazing. What's that girl screaming at?
I'm here. 1 of 5.
We know.
Don't ignore me. I said when I was young, I had to find my voice, and boy, did I make up for it. Oh, boy.
Well, you grew up with 3 other sisters and a brother. Yeah, I guess you had to find a way of standing out.
I had to find my voice.
Right. And
I'm uncompromising about who I am.
Mm-hmm.
I am me. Done. The title track on No Control, that song is exactly who I am. You can't take away my soul. You can't break me because I'm in control. You can't take my heart, my mind. This time I won't let go. You can't take away my soul. No, 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 no. It's me.
That is awesome. Thank you for sharing, Suzi. And again, I want to let everyone know Suzi Quatro's album, The Devil in Me, March 26. Get your vinyl pre-orders in SuziQuatro.com. The first single, I believe, is available by the time you hear this. Which single is that, Suzi?
It's the title track, The Devil in Me.
The Devil in Me. All right. So go to your streaming services, download it, enjoy it. Put the pre-download in effect to where on the day of the record, you get it in your phones or whatever smart devices you have. But also get a vinyl copy. I've got one here in my hand. Suzi doesn't have hers yet, but it is a beautiful package, a gatefold album, 2 vinyl records. So the album is spread over 2 records, which means sonically, it's going to be wonderful. And there's also some bonus tracks on the vinyl issue as well. Can I Be Your Girl, and a cover of Desperado. So again, Suzi Quatro, The Devil in Me, March 26th. Also follow her on Facebook and Instagram and all those places, and go to suziquatro.com, and God willing, we'll see some live dates being posted at some time in the near future.
Thank you very much.
Oh, that was a wonderful chat. I really enjoy Suzi. And, Dr. Quatro. And again, don't forget Suzi Quatro, the album, The Devil in Me, available March 26th. The single is out now. You can go to streaming services, check it out. There's also a video available and a vinyl you could pre-order at suziquatro.com. And that's it for this week's episode of The Vinyl Guide. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please share these episodes far and wide. We really appreciate it when you do that. And consider becoming a patron of the Vinyl Guide podcast. Go to patreon.com/Vinyl Guide. Sign up, and for a couple of bucks a month, you can help support this show and get access to all sorts of extra stuff, extended interviews, secret episodes, and more. That's patreon.com/Vinyl Guide. We'll be back shortly with a brand new episode, so until we talk next time, keep spinning. Cheers.
That's it for this episode of The Vinyl Guide. Send your thoughts to Nate at thevinylguide.com, or follow or tag us on Instagram at Vinyl Guide. Until next time, keep spinning.